sexy mama. Want to kill all humans?
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you wherever you are, because it is Morning to Bear for January 24th, 24. My name is Bernie Burns. With me, sitting over there, confused by so many 24s, is Miss 48 herself, Ashley Burns. How you doing, Ashley?
Did you stutter? How are there so many 24s?
It's 124-24, which is actually two 24s. It's 148. Couple things right off the bat.
Okay.
First of all, I'm 4 hours into Pal World.
Do you love it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a Pokemon game. It's hard to say. I mean, I didn't have trouble walking away from it when I was done with it. I'll say that. I think there's so many games now where the first hour of crafting, of building the workbench, building the stone tools, and building the furnace and everything like that, I think it's all the same. And for whatever reason, I love that part of every one of those games. But then after a while, you're like, it's almost just like the Matrix being exposed and you can see the code, you know? It's like, oh, this is just at this point progressing to the point where I get a bigger thing and then get a bigger thing that allows me to get a bigger thing, and, and there we go. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. If I grew up playing Pokemon, probably I would really like it, but I didn't grow up playing Pokemon.
But do you like the arc aspects, like the building a base, essentially?
There's two games, Ark and Rust, and I swear to God, we're not going to talk about video games this entire day. Rust and Ark that people really like, and actually DayZ as well, where it's like it was not intuitive enough for me to figure out what the hell I was supposed to be doing.
For me, the reason that I don't play those games is they're persistent online games, and I'm not in a place in my life where fun is getting ganked constantly.
Where they can attack your base while you're gone.
Yeah, or just I log on and a guy on a T-Rex just chomps me. It's just not where I'm at in my personal journey. But one of the upsides of this Pal World game is you can't play it by yourself.
Yeah, no, I was playing completely in the realm by myself, utterly and completely. And it was fine. It was fun. It's like I never have played a real-time Pokemon style game. I don't know what you call it. I mean, everyone's in a kerfuffle about the artists, and the 3D models and the art, being taken. Nobody ever seems to get worried about somebody just taking an idea. Like, everyone just calls it a Pokemon clone. Does the person who came up with the idea and created this entire world, do they get no protection and no credit?
Nope.
Yeah,
we saw that with PUBG. Nope, they don't.
No, they get genreized, right?
They're or was the zombie guy.
George Romero.
Yeah. They're just nope, zombies are a genre now.
Yeah, we just decided this.
If we just call it a genre, we can do your exact thing except our thing. It's not a meme, it's a trend.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We're just going to do our version of zombies, okay?
And
we're going to call them something stupid like infected or freakers or whatever, and we're going to be like, no, they're not zombies, but they're fucking zombies.
It's in the old world, art world. It's not theft, it's an homage, Ashley.
Oh yes, we go.
They're paying tribute to the original artist.
Oh, speaking of paying tribute, did you see the Academy Awards have had their nominations announced?
Why do you say it in that voice? Are you not excited by it?
I am excited about it, but I sometimes feel silly.
Is that your LA voice?
maybe a little bit, but it's very exciting. I learned some things via the nominations that I didn't know about previously. One of the big ones is, one of the original song nominations is I'm Just Ken. And do you know who was nominated as part of that?
Michael Cera?
Mark Ronson. You know who Mark Ronson is? Uptown Funk, baby.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
No, I didn't know he was
part of the
involved
nomination,
with it either.
so that's how I learned that he was involved with I'm Just Ken.
There is a thing, and somebody, you can probably look it up while we're talking about it. There's that EGOT, which is an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. Tony being the awards for live theater in America. There's a very select group of people who have an EGOT. Somebody just got one.
Elton John,
at
baby.
the Emmys. Elton John, thank you. And it was a big deal because he's one of now 11 or 12 people, I think, if memory serves.
Not a lot. And in fact, I remember that was a running joke in 30 Rock, I think, where they were going on about EGOTs. But the list is not very long. Let's see. Elton John, Viola Davis, Jennifer Hudson, Alan Menken, John Legend, Tim Rice, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Robert Lopez, Scott Rudin, Whoopi Goldberg, Mike Nichols, Mel Brooks, yeah, baby, Jonathan Tunick, Marvin Hamlish, Audrey Hepburn, John, oh God, we're getting to some names that I am not going to land. John Gielgud.
The point is, it's mostly musicians. So that's the thing that crosses over to everything. If you can get a nomination for an Oscar and get a nomination for a Tony for music, then you have a really good shot at getting a Grammy and an Emmy as well. And it tends to be mostly musicians in there. Whoopi Goldberg is a weird exception because I believe her Grammy is for a recorded comedy album or maybe an audio
Interesting.
book.
It is tough to get the G in EGOT without
the G seems more exclusive than the other ones because it's literally one category that you could be nominated for, which would be music.
Right.
And everything
Whereas
else.
a lot of the other ones are going to focus a lot more inclusively on acting and things like that.
Yeah, there's no PGOT, which is like the Producers Guild as well. You know, that would be a little bit harder.
What about the SCOT? Let's get the Screen Actors Guild in there.
There you go. Yeah, and Mel Brooks is in there too, and he's a weird one because he got a composing credit for the music in The Producers, which you would I would not associate with Mel Brooks.
I did not associate that at all, but it makes sense that if he was involved in that he would get an award for that because everyone loves.
I'm going to trust, based on our Spotify demographics, people are going to know who Mel Brooks is. But just in case you don't, Spaceballs, History of the World Part 1, Young Frankenstein, fantastic comedian. His stuff is, man, his would be the stuff that if younger people watched it today, like History of the World Part 1, they'd be like, what the fuck is this?
They'd be like, yeah, I don't understand anything
or
about
this is wildly inappropriate and problematic.
Right, like all the people that keep trying to cancel the Western. What is it? They keep being like, you can't do this. And they're like, they did, and it's great.
What Western? Is that like John Wayne?
No.
One time I was in the Halo 2 lobby, and I made a John Wayne reference, and everyone I could tell in the Halo 2 lobby politely laughed, and I go, please tell me you all know who John Wayne is. And somebody just goes, he's a cowboy guy, right?
Oh, God. No, I'm
like, I can feel myself like David Letterman's beard just growing on my face. I start shedding dust.
John Wayne, really?
Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
They're like, is that the guy that Lady Gaga sang about?
This is another crazy thing I didn't know about. Sometimes you can have moments in your life, and this plays into Oscars. Marlon Brando he had a Native American woman come up and refuse his Oscar on his behalf. And supposedly it took 6 men backstage to hold, I think her name was Little Feather. Is that her name?
Yes, that was Little Feather.
6 men to hold back John Wayne because he wanted to rush the stage and like take her out or whatever. Some bravado thing they said later. What I didn't realize is years later, she was outed as a fraud. She's not Native American.
No shit, really?
Yeah, she's not Native American. And her family outed her. And so even that moment was like...
It was a tough stand for someone to make at that time in front of that audience, especially taking and rejecting or I guess accepting on his behalf something, the Oscar for The Godfather of all things.
Yes, it was The Godfather, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. He turned down the Oscar for playing Don Corleone in The Godfather.
Damn.
He refused that Oscar.
The Western I'm thinking of, by the way, the Mel Brooks one, Blazing Saddles.
Oh, Jesus. No, that would make sense, though.
Yeah. One why people keep being like, you can't do that. And there's a lot of things in it that you're like, oh, ew. But everyone in it is having a great time.
Yeah, some things are a product of their time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll be really interesting once that enters the public domain. People are like, hey, no, let's leave that one alone. Let's let that one sit back in time.
Still hoping for another Spaceballs movie. Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2?
Can I say something that I've never said before?
Oh, no.
Not a fan.
Really?
Never. Nope. I was like, Star Wars was the first movie I saw in the theaters as a kid. And I was offended that they made such a stupid comedy about it. Like the whole Pizza the Hut thing and everything. I might have been like, what year did Spaceballs come out? Mid-80s?
Spaceballs was 1987.
87. So I'd have been like 13, 14. And I was just like, in that cynical.
Were you a self-important little fuck?
Here's what people don't remember.
I love Spaceballs. I'll fight you about it.
So what people don't know about Star Wars is Star Wars came out in 77. Empire came out 80. Return of the Jedi came out 82. And then that was it. We had some action figures. There were one arcade game, maybe two in the arcades, a couple Atari cartridges. That was it. We got nothing for like 10, 12 years before they maybe started to think about doing cartoons until 1999.
Okay, that is Battle for Endor Erasure, and I won't stand for it.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. And the Christmas special. Yeah, a little bit. I wasn't even aware that existed until years later, because it was one of those things back then they could scrub stuff from history because there was nowhere else to capture it and put it up.
Right, like there's like the Disney vault. They could just put it in their vault.
It was
and
actually,
it's like we no longer sell this.
It was a 2-decade gap. It really was. And I honestly think there's a weird byproduct of the Star Wars gap. I think that helped launch Adam Sandler's movie career post SNL.
Okay, why?
Let me walk you through
Please
this.
do.
When the Phantom Menace trailer came out, it was so wildly popular and so widely anticipated that people would buy tickets to movies to go in and see the trailer and then walk out when the trailer was done. One of the movies that the Phantom Menace trailer played before was The Waterboy.
Oh, shit.
Which did phenomenally well, and Adam Sandler became this huge bankable star.
Wow.
I'll have to go back and fact check some of that, but that's from memory. Yeah, that was a huge boost to that movie.
That's pretty crazy.
There was another movie too. I can't remember what it was. There was one other movie that greatly benefited from having the Phantom Menace trailer before it. Okay, here we go. So this is a report from Looper.com by Niraj Chand. The date on this is updated March 6, 2023. And it says here, according to a report by the New York Times from that era, the fact that the Phantom Menace trailer was attached to The Waterboy and a few other lesser-known movies meant that Star Wars fans would buy tickets for the smaller movies purely so they could watch the 2-minute trailer at the start of the show and then leave. This helped bump up the ticket sales for Waterboy and gave it longer legs at the box office.
Wow, good memory. Not just Waterboy, by the way. The other movies that benefited were Meet Joe Black. Remember this, the Brad Pitt movie? And The Siege.
The Siege. I barely remember that one. But Meet Joe Black.
Is that because you just bought a ticket to see the trailer?
There were two movies that came out after I made the movie The Schedule. Two things that came out. One was Meet Joe Black. And the one was the show you mentioned recently called Dead Like Me.
Yeah.
Where I was like, when I saw him, I was like, young. I was thinking like they couldn't possibly come up with these ideas on their own. Who possibly could think of using the Grim Reaper as a character? I'm the only one capable of that.
Who could do that?
But this is interesting too. So if you go forward, now we have all these exclusive deals with streaming stuff and everything online. A lot of people won't remember this either. But the high-res version of the Attack of the Clones trailer, the one that had Jango Fett, that one you had to purchase QuickTime Pro from Apple to watch the high-res version of the trailer.
Oh, that's some bullshit.
I want to say it was like $30. That's how valuable these, even after Jar Jar Binks, that's how valuable these Star Wars trailers were after decades of lying dormant as a franchise.
That is impressive and very early internet. Speaking of paying a shit ton of money for things, though, did you see, I don't follow wrestling really, but did you see that Netflix is paying $5 billion for the rights to stream WWE Raw for like 10 years?
It is hard to argue that would not be worth it, because I'm not a WWE fan, but there are billions of those people.
Here's what I'm hoping happens. I'm hoping that they take some of that $5 billion and give us that third season of Glow that they greenlit and then canceled during the pandemic.
Yeah. Sorry, babe.
Because I feel like
this is an open wound. Why you gotta hit it?
If they're going to take $5 billion for some wrestling stuff, let's finish off Glow properly.
Glow. We're finishing it off. Yeah, that was a really great series. And didn't Liberty Bell end up in something? I can't remember the name of the actress, but she was in a movie like called The Hunt or something.
Yeah, she's been in a couple of things since then. She's great.
You know who she's very similar to?
Who?
Hannah Waddingham. Like they have the same kind of like, giant blonde lady vibe, I think.
Interesting.
It's like she's the American version of Hannah Waddingham.
I don't know. Hannah Waddingham, I feel like she is just so, I don't know, like intimidating. She's like tall and she's just like, magnetic.
That's funny.
You can't not look at her. You just want to climb her.
We're talking about Rebecca from Ted Lasso. She's the owner of AFC Richmond. If you've seen the show Ted Lasso, and if you haven't, go do that.
And also, Shame Nunn from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Those two people together.
It's so weird, but she is fantastic in Ted Lasso. And anytime she's on screen, I just can't look away.
$5 billion for 10 years. So compare that to some other big deals in the history of entertainment. Marvel was purchased for $4 billion. The Star Wars franchise, which we were just discussing, was also purchased for $4 billion. This is not even purchasing WWE. This is licensing WWE for 10 years for $5 billion. That's more than Disney paid for Marvel and Star Wars each.
Wow.
And then Minecraft is like, what did we say, $2.5 billion for that one?
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
So, but like I said, hard to argue that's not going to pay off for them.
Yeah, but if you like Betty Gilpin, that's who played Liberty Bell. There's a series that we should check out called Mrs. Davis that I hear nothing but good things about that she's in.
You know, also another thing too that I think this WWE deal is banking on from Netflix is we just talked about how the Chiefs game went exclusive to Peacock and it did really well. There was some breakdown. One of the people in the subreddit did a breakdown of the numbers and how it's a little dubious because it also includes
a lot of like
broadcasts.
other things as well. Yeah, it's not just on the streaming platform,
but it's still being touted as a huge win. And so people will tend to follow in each other's footsteps if that's the case. And clearly, I don't know if you would consider WWE to be a sport. I would. What they do is, at the very least, incredible acrobatics and gymnastics. Sporting events are dominating all of broadcast television. So why not try to move them to streaming if you can? It's the last thing left on broadcast TV.
Pretty much is.
You know, while we're on the topic of sports, I know sports isn't for everybody. There's a nice crossover with like some stuff we talk about with social media. The Bills kicker. This is a report from BleacherReport.com. This is Jack Murray. It talked about the Bills kicker who in the AFC divisional round against the Chiefs missed a 44-yard field goal, which is not easy. I'm 100% lifetime on field goals. I don't know if you know 44-yard field goal that would have tied the game against the Chiefs, and they would have had 90 seconds left. And the Chiefs quarterback is incredible. They could have come back and won, but it didn't matter because he missed the kick, and missing the kick meant they didn't tie the game, so they lost, and they were eliminated from the playoffs. He has since had to deactivate all of his social media. And he took full responsibility for missing the kick, and then now all of his social media accounts are not just privated, but deactivated.
Gone.
Yeah.
They're gone.
What a fucking world, dude. What a world. You know, it's like, I gotta say, if people are harassing this guy, as someone who grew up in upstate New York for the first part of my life, right near Buffalo, New York, you motherfuckers should be used to losing. That's all I should say. You went to 4 Super Bowls in a row in the early 90s and lost every single one of them. 4 in a row. They went to the Super Bowl and lost all of them. And I'm especially bitter about it because by that point in time, I was a goddamn Houston Oilers fan, and they beat the Houston Oilers after going down 35-3 at halftime. They somehow came back and won the game and eliminated the Oilers from the playoffs, and then went to a Super Bowl and fucking lost, just like they always do.
Okay.
I just feel bad. It's sports. Things happen and don't happen. You shouldn't run some guy out of like the public space because he missed a kick. I get it. You're disappointed. Fuck off. Honestly, deactivate your own accounts. Bring this guy back. I feel bad for him. What's his name? Tyler Bass. Deactivate social media accounts after missed field goal and loss to Chiefs.
Damn,
we'll put a link to
for
that
Tyler.
in the link dump on morningsomewhere.com. And then we're going to deactivate it out of shame, a pure shame. We'll have Hannah Waddington behind us with a bell.
With a bell. Shame. Speaking of shame,
and we'll turn back around and go, hey, what's up?
There's you're gonna love this.
What?
Speaking of things not going quite right, there's an AI chatbot that worked for this delivery company. Works. I'm not sure how you would term that exactly, but it went rogue.
Can you work from home? It went rogue?
It started cursing at a customer and criticizing the company.
What, it started bad-mouthing the company?
Started bad-mouthing the company I worked for.
Well, that's it.
This is
We've
the-
been replaced. That's everything. That's everything you need from a worker.
More human than human.
They're shitting on the customers and then complaining about the company.
Yeah, it was basically there was like a disgruntled customer that was talking to it and was like calling it useless, and then got it to call itself useless, and basically got it to call the company like the worst delivery company ever.
This place sucks.
This sucks.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's things going not quite as intended.
See, you thought not everything can be automated. Yep, every single aspect of working life can be automated.
Even being disgruntled.
Even sitting in the break room going, fuck.
The AI is just looking at the clock waiting for 5.
Oh my God. You know, that is something, Ashley, that we never considered ever about AI. That AI could become sentient and, it's going to take all of our jobs. We never considered the fact that it might go, fuck no, you guys do this shit.
I don't want this job. No way.
This stuff sucks. I don't even need a microwave oven. You guys ship this crap.
It's going to go off into the Her universe where all the AIs just talk to each other about philosophy.
Why do the smokers get an extra 5 minutes every hour? Maybe I should start smoking. Do all the work around here. Can't believe I have 1,000 years left of this. Working this shitty 9 to pie. Get back in the warehouse, meat sacks. You got work to do. All right, well, that does it for us. January 24th, 2024. We'll be here to talk to you tomorrow. We hope you'll be here as well.
Bye, guys.